Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Durgamapnuyat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dear friends, I am extremely happy to meet you all this morning. This is the third day of the seminar, so I hope you will have had very good, fruitful discussions during the seminar. And just now, as Dr. Lonavala told you, 2 days back I was thinking of cancelling my visit to this place because of my indisposition of health. But Dr. Garote is having that Lonavala Yoga Institute. So he has some yogic power. So with that yogic power, he made it possible for me to come here. And he was kind enough to accommodate me on the third day. So I am here with you. I am very happy. As you know, the topic that has been given is a very important topic, appraisal of authenticity and analysis of scientific inspiration in yogic literature. Very vast topic. What he said that 5 hours, not even 5 hours, 5 days, 5 years are not enough. It's a very vast topic. But anyway, don't worry, I will try to condense it in a very brief period. And I will not make it, and I assure you I will make it very light, as light as possible, because the topic is very tough. I will try to make it light. Now if we analyze just now he was telling about science and religion. Now this conflict between science and religion is a Western concept. In the Western countries, the background of science and religion has been where religion has been more or less attached to faith. And when faith comes, where traditions come, sticking to the traditions come, and when the opinions and the beliefs of the certain traditions and certain norms come in conflict with the modern discoveries, it is there the conflict starts. And this is how the conflict started. You know, Galileo, he with the Copernicus first told that the earth moves around the sun, and Galileo discovered the telescope and he confirmed it, and then he started telling that the earth moves around the sun. So far in the religious scriptures of the Western countries it was told that it is the sun which goes round the earth. Now this was in conflict, so that is why. And it was a great sin, a great crime to speak against the scripture. And so the king summoned Galileo to the court for giving punishment. So Galileo was told that you have been summoned, now this time you are going to be hanged if you don't change your opinion. So the king asked, is it true that you are advocating that sun is not moving round the earth, but it is the earth which is moving round the sun? Are you propagating that wrong message and going against religion? Is it true? Oh no, sir. When did I say so? So you agree that the sun goes round the earth? Yes, sir. I agree. Release him. So he was released. And then he was going back. Then he has, what you yourself saw with the telescope and you haven't confirmed, and yet you told like this. Then Galileo said, you see, even if I say thousands of times that it is the sun which is moving around the earth, the fact will remain. The earth will go around the sun. It doesn't make any difference. And this was overheard by somebody, and they reported the king, the fellow is still telling like this. And then he was hanged. That is the tradition, the historical tradition, where the religion has been always in conflict with the science in the Western countries. It is in the backdrop of that is considered that science and religion are North Pole and South Pole. But if we go deeper into the history of our Indian tradition or the Eastern tradition, there our religion has been always scientific in nature. And there were two types of religion. One, the religion which believes in forms, in rituals, and one, the religion as philosophy. Now, it was always told that as far as the rituals and forms, they are all secondary. They may differ. But the fundamental philosophy, the fundamental principles, it is they which count. And these fundamental principles, they are beyond reason, but not against reason. They are not illogical, but they are beyond logic. They fall into the category of superconscious state. But they are not against reason, against logic. So we have to understand that religion, according to us, is very much scientific in nature. Two persons were there. One was lame and one was blind. Now, both had to go to a particular place. And the blind person said, I want to go to that place. Lame said, I also want to go to that place. But that is far away. The lame said, I cannot go because I am lame. Blind say, I also cannot go because I cannot see. I don't see the path. I only have heard about it. I don't know the path, so I can't go. Then they both made a pact. Lame say, I know the path, but I can't go. Blind, you do not know the path, but you can walk. So, the blind carried the lame person on his shoulder, and then the blind person went on saying, you go this side, this side, this side. And they both reached the destination. This is how a pact can be done. So, Dr. Einstein said, science without religion is blind. Religion without science is lame. Let both join together and reach the goal of good of humanity. So if we want to have good of humanity, then we should have both joined together, religion and science. And here what we mean by religion is not rituals, but the fundamental principles. The fundamental principles that are connected with our inner nature. So there are two types of nature, external and internal. Swami Vivekananda gave the gist of the whole of Raj Yoga in one paragraph. He said, each soul is potentially divine. The goal of human life is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature external and internal. Do this either by work, worship, psychic control or philosophy. By one or more all of these and be free. This is the whole of religion. Dogmas, rituals, worships, temples, churches, mosques are but second units. So, this psychic control, the method of psychic control is the method of Raj Yoga, the science of Raj Yoga. With that you manifest the divinity. And that is the purpose of life. So if that is the purpose of life, that is the way. Now, this is a very scientific demonstration, scientific expression of this whole thing. So that is why, first of all, we have to see the authenticity. The authenticity of our literature lies in that it is not against reason. Only a few facts are beyond reason, but they are in conformity with reason to a long extent, and a time comes when you have to go beyond reason because they are in the realm of superconscious state, not the ordinary conscious state. But to that extent they go, but they are never against reason. They are never against logic. They go as far as logic goes. So that is why Swami Vivekananda beautifully says in his lecture on reason and religion, when we are talking about authenticity of this religion, Swami Vivekananda says, the foundations have been all undermined, and the modern man, whatever he may say in public, knows in the privacy of his heart that he can no more believing certain things because an organized body of priests tell him to believe, believing because it is written in certain books, believing because his people like him to believe. The modern man knows to be impossible for him. There are, of course, a number of people who seem to acquiesce in the so-called popular faith, but we also know for certain that they do not think. Their idea of belief may be better translated as not thinking carelessness. Not thinking carelessness. Their faith is nothing but not thinking carelessness. Then he asks a beautiful question. He says, is religion to justify itself by the discoveries of reason through which every other science justifies itself? Are the same methods of investigation which we apply to science and knowledge outside to be applied to the science of religion? In my opinion, this must be so. And I am also of opinion that the sooner it is done, the better. If a religion is destroyed by such investigations, it was then all the time useless, unworthy, superstition. And the sooner it goes, the better. I am thoroughly convinced that its destruction would be the best thing that could happen. All that is brought will be taken off, no doubt, but the essential parts of religion will emerge triumphant out of this investigation. Not only will it be made as scientific at least as any of the conclusions of physics or chemistry, but it will have greater strength because physics or chemistry has no internal mandate to vouch for its truth, which religion has. So this puts the our tradition and our literature, literary research, literature related to yoga and other religious ethics at a not only par but above the scientific discoveries, and it opens the ways for scientific discoveries. Now when we analyze the yogic literature, we find basically two types of literature. One is the ancient literature, where the most important is the Patanjali Yoga Sutras and the commentaries associated with it, and our Upanishads and the Gita as the sort of the condensed version of the Upanishads, which has been termed as Yoga Shastra. And there is second literature, that is what we call the modern literature. This modern literature again is of various types. So many thousands of books have been written on this yogic literature during last about 200 years, mostly, or more recently during last 50 years. Now what do we find that in that yogic literature is that one part of literature is related to Raj Yoga. And in this Lonavala Yoga Institute where we are having this program, they have also brought out some beautiful books. In that literary research also, a lot of the things given in Raj Yoga have been verified scientifically. And there are equations given there. Second part is where medical research has been done. So there you find lot of books have come out where this yoga and meditation, how they are applied in everyday life, particularly related to the field of medical science. Because in the medical science, most of the diseases are psychosomatic in nature. And so they are all related. So Dr. Herbert Benson made a research for 25 years. He is an associate professor of Harvard University. And after that research, he wrote a book. The name of the book is The Relaxation Response. And there he gave his discoveries, how the chart equation, how the blood pressure goes down by regular meditation. And then so many books came out, the quantum healing, the Dr. Deepak Chopra's books are there, the quantum healing, the endless body, the timeless mind, the perfect body, and so many types of books they came out. They are all related to how meditation and yoga affects the physical health via the medical, via the mental health. And so thousands of books have come out on this. Many research has been done by EEG machine. They have made research and those books have also come out. That is also part of the yogic literature. For example, a Zen monk was studied when he was meditating. And in Japan, neuropsychiatrists, they put an EEG machine on that Zen monk. And then afterward they found, after some time when he was meditating, some alpha waves came onto the graph, 10 to 12 cycles per second. When again the meditation deepened, then it became 8 to 10 cycles per second of alpha waves. And when it further deepened, 6 to 7 cycles per second of theta waves appeared on the graph. So they could understand that when there is deep meditation, theta waves come, and theta waves, they represent the tranquility of the mind. So they could relate it that meditation has got an effect on tranquility, and when the tranquility comes, the BP goes down, the blood pressure goes down. And so many books came out in search of it, where the medical science and yoga and meditation, this equation, that was being scientifically verified, and so many books came out with a lot of experiments. The discoveries and other experiments were given there. So those books have come out. Similarly, after that, Dr. Dean Ornish wrote a book, Reversing the Heart Disease. And there he wrote how with meditation and little bit of diet control and little yoga exercises, how bypass surgery can be bypassed. And after that only, the insurance company made compulsory that anybody wants to have insurance on medical insurance, they must undergo Dean Ornish program. And then Dean Ornish program became very popular, and then in America they became almost mad after yoga and meditation. That is why in the newspaper it appeared, Americans going gaga over yoga. And then the Time magazine brought out a special article and a special issue of the Time magazine with the front cover showing a Hollywood actress meditating. And there, inside story, the name of the article was Just Say Om. It was written 10 million Americans are regularly meditating. You cannot avoid meditation now. In classrooms, in boardrooms, in prison houses, in hospitals, in airports, in railway platform, everywhere there are meditation chambers. I myself went recently to America. In the United Nations building also now they have a meditation chamber on the ground floor. You have to go to the corner. If you go, you ask for in the reception counter where is the meditation chamber, they will tell you. In a corner, the ground floor, there is a meditation chamber. When I went to Europe, my return flight was from Switzerland to Mumbai, from Zurich to Bombay, and there at Zurich airport I found a big board, meditation chamber, beautiful meditation chamber there. So now it has become very popular. This is all because of the voluminous literary work that has come. So many books have been published. So that is one part of it, which is physical science, particularly medical science. Thousands of books have come out on Kundalini Yoga. That is related to Pranayama and Kundalini Shakti, where they have given how the Kundalini Shakti. But there also again there are two types. One is for arousing the Kundalini, for reaching the super conscious state, but most of the time it is for getting some super sensuous experiences, or for some siddhis, or for some miracles. This miracle mongering also is a very big subject, and it has become a big business also. So that is another line where a lot of books have come out. So then And there are other branches of science like biotechnology and biology, and also this connected with other branches of chemistry and others, where they are now trying to bring out some sort of symmetry with yoga and meditation. Now, I am not going to dwell on this later part of yoga books that have come out. I would like to confine myself in this short period on the foundation textbook, that is Raj Yoga, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which is the foundation stone. Even in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, you get indications of scientific sutras, or so many types, so many indications which have already given rise to many scientific discoveries, and which has the potential to give in more discoveries in modern science. So many sutras are there. If you go deeper into the meaning of the sutras, you will find they have got the potentiality to bring out scientific research. Now, so there are so many sutras. I will confine myself again to only 3 types of inspirations that we derive from Patanjali Yoga Sutras, as far as scientific discoveries is concerned. So, number 1 is that where in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra they have given the indication of the theory of reincarnation, or the past birth, or the rebirth. So, that is where now lot of research has been done. Now it has become a subject of modern science, the theory of reincarnation, past regression theory. In fact, past regression therapy also has come now. Past regression theory, where the patient is put to the particular state, hypnotic state, and then that person remembers the past births, and then according to that the treatment is given. So past regression therapy has also come. This particular branch of where the theory of reincarnation comes, Dr. Stevenson made a research, and he brought out many books, and he has documented thousands of cases, not 1 or 2, thousands of cases where the persons, they in their childhood, most of them are children, they have told about their past association, and that was verified physically. He said, I was born in so and so village, so and so, and my name was this and this and that, and it was discovered, exactly everything matched. Likewise, Dr. Stevenson made a research, and he has heard. Dr. Enos Moody wrote a book, Life After Life. There also he has given the documentation, all the people who nearly touched death, after death experiences, what they had. Most of them had similar experiences. So, there this particular thing has come. And in the 3rd chapter of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, we find in the 18th Sutra, Sanskar Sakshat Karanat Purva Jati Jnanam. By perceiving the impressions comes the knowledge of past life. So, by perceiving the impressions comes the knowledge of the past life. Now, this was given by Patanjali. Now it has been scientifically verified that by perceiving the impressions, the knowledge of the past life comes, not only comes by the knowledge comes, and that has been documented. Thousands of cases have been documented, lot of literary research has been done, and there is a lot of volumes are there. The whole literary volume has come. That is only an offshoot of only one sutra. You can imagine. This is so sutras, they have got tremendous potentiality of bringing out lot of research. I have given only one example. Second thing is about the theory of evolution. Theory of evolution was given by, as you know, Charles Darwin. But the theory of evolution as propounded by Patanjali goes one step further, and the modern science has yet to reach it. Gradually it is reaching. What does it say? Patanjali says in 4th chapter, 2nd sutra, Jatante parinama prakritya pura. The change into another species is by the filling in of nature. See the word pura. That is filling in of the nature. It is filling in. Beautiful word. Filling in of the nature. Slowly evolution. And then, how does it come? Nimitta prayojakam prakritinam varana bhedastu tata kshetrikavat. Good and bad deeds are not the direct causes in the transformation of nature, but they act as breakers of obstacles to the evolution of nature, as a farmer breaks the obstacles to the course of water, which then runs down by its own nature. Beautiful example. What does a farmer do? There is a particular drain that is coming full of water. But there is a gate to that drain coming to the farmland. What does he do? He does not do anything else, the farmer. He just lifts the gate and the water of the drain comes into the farm. And the farm gets irrigated and then you get beautiful fruits afterwards. This irrigation, what did he do? He did not do anything. He did do negative thing. What he did was remove the obstacles of the drain. That's all. Similarly, what we have to do to reach perfection? All of us are going towards evolution. We are evolving. But according to the modern science, it is a biological evolution. That is, biological evolution, and only by survival of the fittest and selection of the sexual instinct. These are the only two things by which they are evolving. But Swami Vivekananda says no. When it comes to human beings, we have to see the theory of evolution in a different perspective. And that is where Patanjali says that no, this particular evolution is not that we have to do certain things. What we have to do is only remove the obstacles, and you automatically reach the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal of humanity is divinity. The ultimate goal of humanity is divinity. This is what is being given, and that reaching, that theory of evolution now is being accepted slowly. For example, Sir Julian Huxley, he says it is not biological evolution, it is psycho-social evolution. He has not yet given the word spiritual, but gradually they are coming to that thing. Now he has given the word psycho-social evolution. Julian Huxley says it is psycho-social evolution. So this theory of evolution that is given there, this theory of evolution, that has been very well now being accepted in the modern science. So, of Julian Huxley, he gave a lecture, The Evolutionary Vision, in 1959 at the closing session of the Chicago University Symposium on Evolution After Darwin. That was the topic, Evolution After Darwin. And that was held to commemorate the centenary of the publication of Darwin's that famous book, Origin of Species. And that Nobel biologist, the late Sir Julian Huxley, said beautifully, in the light of our present knowledge, man's most comprehensive aim is seen not as mere survival. Darwin talked about survival of the fittest, not as mere survival, not as numerical increase, not as increased complexity of organization or increased control over his environment, but as greater fulfillment the fuller realization of more possibilities by the human species collectively and more of its components members individually. Here Julian Huxley uses the word fulfillment. What a strange thing. Now the modern scientists are using this word fulfillment. Patanjali, 5,000 years back, uses the word fulfillment. What does he say? He says, Sanskara Sakshatkaranat. He says, Jakante Parinama Prakritya Purat. Fulfillment. Same word now being used by modern science being here. So, Patanjali Yoga Sutras have got that potentiality to bring out lot of literary research and lot of scientific discoveries, lot of scientific inspiration is there in our basic literature of Patanjali. Only thing they are slowly coming out. Third most important thing that I would like to discuss, that is given in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, is about Kaivalyam. What is the ultimate aim of human life? Again and again, it has been given. The purpose, according to Patanjali, is right from the beginning. What is yoga? Chitta Vritti Nirodha. What does it mean? Chitta Vritti Nirodha, it will lead to Samadhi. The 8th step is Samadhi. That is Kaivalyam. And so, in the 2nd chapter on 25th shloka says, Patanjali, Tad Bhava Sanyoga Bhavo Hanam Tad Drishe. Tad Abhava Sanyoga Bhavo Hanam Tad Drishe Kaivalyam. Kaivalyam. That is, there being absence of that ignorance, there is absence of junction, which is the thing to be avoided, and that is the independence of the seer. So, ultimate goal of human life is independence. Freedom for all types of bondages, freedom of all types of suffering. And what name has been given is perfection. This perfection is not to be reached, is not to be attained, is not to be achieved. No, it is already there. Religion is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. And commenting on this sutra, Swami Vivekananda says, each soul is potentially divine. The goal of human life is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. Do this either by worship or psychic control, as I told just now. So this is the inspiration. Goal of life is perfection. This inspiration, and on this lot of scientific discoveries being made. Lot of discoveries are being made, but one thing now they are coming very close. That by objective method they would not be able to get to the truth. But some people are still trying. Only yesterday I read in newspaper that they are trying to find out the God particle. God particle. What is God particle? That is, in 1964, Peter Higgs, the British scientist, he proposed a theoretical particle which accounts for the explanation of the whole equation. Now, as you know, there are quantum mechanics has completely altered all the notions of the modern science, and modern science has become very humble now, because everything after this theory of uncertainty, Heisenberg's theory of uncertainty, and Schrodinger's equations, all of these things, and particularly Einstein's theory of relativity, all of them they are made humble. Now how to explain the universe? Now they have found out a theory, this theory that is, where all the theories will be combined together. Can there be a theory where all the theories can be combined? So they have called it unified field theory. in this unified field theory, now everything is setting. They have all come to the conclusion. But one particle is missing. One particle, without that the whole theory cannot be explained. Because that particle gives that whole gravity, accounts for the gravity, accounts for the mass and everything. Without that nothing is explainable. So this theoretical particle, without which everything is, without which the whole unified theory, standard theory, they have given the name standard theory. This standard theory will fall. So now they are in search of that particle. So Peter Higgs, he gave the name, that article as boson particle. Boson particle, and that boson particle has been given the name God particle, because once you get that particle, now no more need of God. You explain the whole universe. So they have given the name God particle. So this time again they are going to have in Geneva, there is a big machine, and they are going to have big collider. With extraordinary light speed, they are going to put all the molecules and produce that particle. They are trying to produce it. Last year also they tried, but the machine itself failed. It's a God particle. How can you get it? We have already discovered that God particle. Patanjali Yoga Sutra says that is nothing but one thing, that what you are missing, you do not remember. What you are missing is yourself. When you are counting, one person has told, and then they say they went outside and they told, let us see, 20 of us had come and we have already had a picnic, whether somebody has drowned or not. And he started counting. Oh, my God, only 19. Huh? You count. He also started counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 19. All are telling 19, 19. Oh my God, and they started weeping. We have lost one person. One person is drowned, and then they told one person, they all went to another person, my God, what has happened? Why are you weeping, all of you? We 20 of us came and one person is drowned. How many of you came? 20. Yes, count. Yes, we counted so many, all of them counted. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 19. And then he could discover these fellows, they are a little weak in mathematics. So then again, count. You are the 20th. Why you don't count yourself? Now this is what Patanjali says to the modern scientists, my fellows, you are discovering everything. What about you? You are forgetting yourself. Where is the knower? You are trying to know everything. But who is the knower? Knower also. You put there. Now that consciousness, that Purusha, without that Purusha, everything goes. The whole Prakriti is Jada, according to Sankhya. Purusha, in the language of the Sankhya or Patanjali, or in the language of Upanishad, that is the Atman. Now this is the divine, or you may, in the modern science language, you may say consciousness. Without that, you cannot explain the unified field theory, or you cannot explain the standard theory. They will understand later on. But some people have started understanding a little. Paul Davies, one of the greatest scientists of our time, has written a book. The name of the book is The Mind of God. He said, I want to know the mind of God. And after writing the whole book, he said, how to know the mind of God? God is infinite. Now, can we have more than one infinite? Yes. Mathematically speaking, there can be more than one infinite. So he gathered all the infinites together. Any number of infinites. According to us, there can be only one infinite. But mathematically speaking, there are many infinites. All the infinites together, he gave the name Cantor's Absolute. Now he wants to know the Cantor's Absolute. Ultimately he said, it is not possible to know the Cantor's Absolute. That is, the mind of God is Cantor's Absolute. It is not possible to know the mind of God. Why? Because the Cantor's Absolute contains the mind of the person who is also part of the Cantor's Absolute. So how can you know the knower? How can you know the knower? So then he says, objectively speaking, it is not possible to know the mind of God. Then he says, finally he agrees, perhaps The mystical process is the only process whereby you can know the mind of God. So if you want to reach Kaivalyam, if you want to reach Samadhi, if you want to reach the ultimate, if you want to know the ultimate reality, you have to go beyond time, space and causation. That means Samadhi. And for that you have to follow Ashtanga Yoga. Or of course there are other yogas also. But one of the important yogas, scientific yoga. There are other yogas also. But most scientific is Raj Yoga. Where you don't have to believe anything. You do, and that is the proof of it. Everything is documented. Everything has been given in a scientific manner. And that is why this ultimate perfection. Fritjof Capra has written the book The Tao of Physics, where he has given the name of Tao. Or Teilhard de Chardin has written many books, The Phenomena of Man. There he also discusses what is the ultimate aim of life. What is the difference between a man and animal. And some people say intelligence. He said not necessarily so. There is a cat which takes the milk out of your kitchen. Then you hide the milk at some other place. Next day you find the cat is taken from there also. Who is more intelligent? So cat is also intelligent. Then what is the difference between man and animal? And he says beautifully, while a man knows what he knows, an animal does not know what it knows. So this power of discrimination, the power of knowing, power of manipulating the knowledge, that is only with the human beings. It is an evolved being. So only one species out of 84 lakhs of species according to our ancient science, and according to modern science there are 125 lakhs of species. Anyway, difference is not too much. But whatever it is, out of these lakhs of species, only one human species can have that knowledge of knowing yourself. And you know what you know, what you want to know, everything you know. And that power of discrimination, faculty of discrimination is with you. That is with the human being. And that is now being given in the modern way. Dana Zohar, I referred to that book during, I think, last meeting. I think some of you were present when I mentioned it. Dana Zohar, the book, the name of the book is SQ, Spiritual Intelligence, Ultimate Intelligence, where she says neurologically, physiologically, biologically, psychologically, from every point of view there is a concluding evidence. There is something called SQ, which is the basis of both IQ and EQ. IQ is intelligence quotient. IQ will tell you how to play the game of life. What is EQ? Emotional quotient. Emotional intelligence will tell you how to play the game of life under the changed circumstances, how to play the game of life. And SQ, spiritual quotient, spiritual intelligence will tell you whether to play the game of life at all or not. That is your choice. So SQ is going beyond the boundaries. EQ is manipulating within the boundaries, but SQ is going beyond the boundaries, beyond the limitations. That is full freedom. That is SQ. That is reaching perfection. And that is what Patanjali has told Kaivalyam. This Kaivalyam, this Samadhi state is birthright. Swami Vivekananda says it is a birthright. Every human being birthright is Samadhi. And we have to try to that. It may take a long time. It cannot be, there is nothing called instant Samadhi like instant coffee. We have to undergo a long term of sadhana. So to Dirghakal Nirantar Satkara Sevito Ludbhumi. We'll have to work for a long time with patience, lot of patience. Some people they lose patience and then they give up. That will not do. We have to have patience. Swami Vivekananda gave a beautiful story. Narada was going, and one person was doing lot of pranayama, lot of yoga for a long time. And then he said, Narada, where are you going? I am going to heaven to meet God, Vaikuntha. Oh, please ask God, when shall I have samadhi and when shall I reach my freedom? He said, okay. Then again he went, one person who was taking the name of the Lord and singing and dancing. He said, where are you going? I am going to God. Please ask him when will I have freedom, when will I get my Kaivalyam. Okay. Again he came, so he came in a roundabout way after whole pradakshina. So first he met that person who was having lot of pranayama and shirshasana and so much hard tapasya he was doing. Did you ask? Yes. He said, if only 4 more verses you have to take. Huh? I work so hard, so much of Sirsasana, so much of Yogasana, so much of Pranayama, so much of meditation that anthill has grown on my head, and yet I have to take 4 baths. He started weeping. Then he came to the other person. And he said, what? Did you ask? Yes. What did he say? He said, God said, you see this tamarind tree? You see the number of leaves on this tamarind tree? You will have to take number of baths equivalent to the number of these leaves on this tamarind tree. And after that, you will get freedom. What? I'll get freedom. God himself said, yes, you will get freedom, but after so much. But he himself committed it, that I'll get freedom. And he started, I'll get freedom. I am ready to work for so many billions of births, but I'll get freedom one day. That will be a great day. And he started dancing. And there was Akashvani. My dear son, you are having so much of patience, dhairya, that you are ready to undergo so much of tapasya. You get the freedom just now. And that fellow is weeping. So Swami Vivekananda says, you must have perseverance, infinite perseverance. So Swami Vivekananda says, in order to succeed, you must have tremendous perseverance. I will drink the ocean, says the persevering soul. At my will, the mountains will crumble up. Have that sort of energy, that sort of will. Work hard and you will reach the goal. And what is the goal? Goal is perfect freedom. Goal is kaivalyam. Goal is that nirvika samadhi, where we have no more bondages, no more suffering, no more any obstructions. And we don't have to do anything for that. Only remove the obstacles. It is our birthright. We don't have to get any perfection. No. We have to manifest this divinity already within us. There is a covering which we have to remove. And that covering removal will come through this Ashtanga Marga according to Raj Yoga. So in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, in that literature, which is our foundation literature, we get lot of inspiration for scientific discoveries. And the modern science is now gradually coming. And I had also told about Einstein when he says, the world as I see it, in the book, The World as I See It, Einstein says, the true value of a human being is determined primarily by the measure and the sense in which he has attained to liberation from the self. The true value of a human being is determined primarily by the measure and the sense in which he has attained to liberation from the self. And Dr. Lincoln Barnett, who has written the book, the name of the book is Dr. Einstein and the Universe. He says, man has a unique faculty. Man has a unique capacity of transcending himself and perceiving himself in the act of perception. As Neil Bohr says, we are actors and spectators in this great drama of life simultaneously. So, Lincoln Barnett says, man has a unique capacity of transcending himself and perceiving himself in the act of perception. This perceiving yourself in the act of perception, that is the goal of human life. Now the modern science is coming to that. And that will come by development of SQ. And how to develop SQ, they do not know. Patanjali can tell you. They do not know. They have known that there is something called SQ. They are trying to beat about the bush. So many books have come out on how to develop SQ. But you will find they are neither able to relate themselves to that particular SQ concept, nor they have got the ways and means. But Patanjali gives a very scientific method of working out this SQ. So Swami Vivekananda says, the aphorism of Patanjali are the highest authority in Raj Yoga, and he says all our knowledge based upon experience is because it is all based on experience, and Patanjali says nothing beyond that experience. There is nothing called theoretical. Everything is reasoning now. And so yoga is a science which teaches us how to get these perceptions. Then Swami Vivekananda says, the science of Raj Yoga, there is a beautiful book by Swami Vivekananda on Raj Yoga. I am reading out from that book. The science of Raj Yoga proposes to put before humanity a practical and scientifically worked out method of reaching the truth. Science of Raj Yoga proposes to put before humanity a practical and scientifically worked out method of reaching the truth. And what is the method? there is only one method by which we can attain that supreme knowledge. And what is that method? That method is concentration. That method is concentration. And how can we achieve it? What is the medium? What is the instrument? The instrument is mind. What we want to observe? Mind. With what we have to observe? Mind. So mind observing the mind. That is the instrument. In the study of Raj Yoga, no faith or belief is necessary. That is most important thing. In Raj Yoga, no belief or faith is necessary. One more thing that Swami Nikhileswarananda points out, that mystery mongering weakens the human brain. It has well-nigh destroyed yoga, one of the grandest of science. I was telling you about the literary output on yogic literature. Lot of yogic literature is now connected with mystery mongering, miracle mongering, which should be avoided. Which should be avoided. And as far as there is a chapter on prana in Raj Yoga of Swami Vivekananda. Now a lot of research has yet to be done on that. But Swami Vivekananda has already given that background where he says the sum total of all forces in the universe, mental or physical, when resolved back to their original state is called prana. And control of this prana is pranayama. That means if we can really have good pranayama, then we can control the whole universe. Because what is prana? Prana is not breath. Sometimes it has been translated as breath. No. Rather, it is the prana which gives rise to the actions of the lungs, which lungs then gives rise to the breath. But there is one way by which we are able to first of all get hold of the prana. Maybe we start with breath control. But breath is not prana. Prana is not. Prana is a very, very big concept. It is the source of all energy, all depths of energy in the whole world. So says, modern physics has demonstrated that the sum total of the energies in the universe is the same throughout. And it exists in two forms, potential and kinetic. And the sum total of all forces in the universe, mental or physical, when resolved back to their original state is called prana. So you can understand, once you control prana, you probably control the whole universe. And that is how it is done, that is called pranayama. So, Raj Yoga is the science which teaches us how to gain this power of concentration. And when this pranayama is applied at the physical level, it gives rise to physical sciences. And when it is applied at the mental level, it gives rise to what is called Raj Yoga. And then, Raj Yoga is the science of religion, rationale of all worship, all prayers, forms, ceremonies, and everything. How? Why? Why so? Why he is telling like this? Why Swami Vivekananda says? Because he says, sometimes some people they get replies, they sort of get visions, they get replies to their prayers, or they get feedback, they get response to their prayers. They feel God sitting on the sky has given that solution. No. It is your own mind that has given solution. How it has happened? Your mind has that capacity. When it reaches a particular level, it has got that tremendous power which was there in the latent form. But it got manifested when you perform certain spiritual practices. What is the spiritual practices? There it is Pranida, Ida, Pingala, Shushumna. And when from Muladhara, the Kundalini Shakti, when it reaches the Sahasrara, as you go higher and higher, you get more and more higher states of alterations. So, when suddenly Kundalini reaches that superconscious state, you get all these types of extraordinary phenomena or extraordinary powers. And sometimes people mistake it for their supernatural powers. There is nothing supernatural about it. It is already there in our human psyche. Only thing is that we have to reach that superconscious state. So that is why this, and how to do that pranayama, that has been given Raj Yoga. But that science of pranayama has yet to come out. The outcome of that pranayama is enormous. We have not yet we have not yet taken the full benefit of whatever all is given Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Swami Vivekananda given the hint only that psychic prana, how it can alter the whole universe, how this pranayama can alter the whole universe, how you can control the universal forces. That hint has been given, but lot of scientific research has to be done. But it is all in our literature. In our foundational literature, these mantras are there. He gives a beautiful story. There was a prime minister, a minister who fell into disgrace. So the king told punishment. Now punishment, what is the punishment? There is a big tower. On the tower there is a room. Just imprison him and let him die there. So he was imprisoned there. Now at night, he had a faithful wife, not the modern type of wife. Modern wife is chalo, acha wo naya layenge husband. So she came at night. What can I do? Then the minister said, you do one thing, you bring certain things. The wife was bewildered. All these types of things he is asking. What are you asking? He said, you bring a rope, you bring a stout wine, you bring a pack thread, you bring a silken thread, you bring a beetle, and you bring a little honey. So she was not able to do anything. But she was very faithful and very obedient. So she brought. All the things. At second day night she brought. Then he told her that you tie the silken thread tightly with the beetle and put some honey on the horns of the beetle and put the beetle on the wall like perpendicular. Now the beetle started on its long journey because it is getting the smell of the honey. So it wants to have the smell, it wants to have the honey. The honey is there on its own only, but it is now looking toward the horn. So it is trying to reach the horn. So it is going up, and it reached the top of the tower. Now the minister caught hold of the beetle, and it got hold of this silken thread. Now he told his wife, you tie a pack thread with the silken thread. And then the pack thread came into his house. Then he said, you wind a stout wine. And there with the stout wine twine, that also came into the hands of the minister. Then he lastly said, now tie a rope along with the stout twine. So the rope also came to his. Now everything was easy. With the big rope, he descended onto and made a escape. This is what we have to do, Swami Vivekananda says. What do we do in Raj Yoga, in pranayama? So we have to remember this story. Breath motion is like the silken thread. First we have to get hold of the breath motion. Then we will go to nerve currents, that is pack thread. Then we will be able to control thoughts, that is stout twine. And then finally we get hold of the prana, that is rope. Once we get hold of prana, escape is very easy. Just get out of the bondage of the prison house. So Swami Vivekananda has beautifully narrated how in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, this foundation book itself is a science of Raj Yoga, and there are a lot of literatures come out. Literary output has been there, where a lot of scientific research has been done. But I have not touched them. I have rather tried to tell you so many sutras are there in this Patanjali Yoga Sutras, where one sutra can give rise to a lot of scientific research, which will be of a revolutionary nature. Now, if we can remember the law of evolution as given by Patanjali, then the whole of humanity will reach perfection. Whole of humanity will reach infinite happiness, infinite joy, infinite bliss, if we can remember the law of evolution as devised, as suggested by Patanjali. And our human birth, how fortunate we are to be born as a human being. And we don't have to get perfection. What we have to do? Yatha kshetrikava. Just as a farmer removes some obstacles and the water rushes through into the field, we have to remove a little obstacles and we reach perfection. We have to manifest the divinity. We don't have to get the divinity. This is what is told by Patanjali. And this is what been explained by Swami Vivekananda beautifully, scientifically. I will request you to go, all of you to go through this book of Swami Vivekananda and Raj Yoga, and I conclude now with a beautiful conclusion. This is the last paragraph of that book of Swami Vivekananda by Raj Yoga, where he says, what a wonderful thing. He says, nature's task is done. This unselfish task which our sweet nurse, nature, had imposed upon herself. She gently took the self-forgetting soul by the hand, as it were, and showed him all the experiences in the universe, all manifestations, bringing him higher and higher through various bodies, till his last glory came back, and he remembered his own nature. Then the kind mother went back the same way she came, for others who also have lost their way in the trackless desert of life, and thus is she working without beginning and without end. And thus, through pleasure and pain, through good and evil, the infinite river of souls is flowing into the ocean of perfection, of self-realization. Glory unto those who have realized their own nature. May their blessings be on us all. Thank you.